Ettore has been the first in Italy in a lot of things. First one to perform laparoscopy, first one to write a book on contraception. In a very difficult moment, it was difficult to say something that would offend the church in this country. He's been the first in so many things. He's a pioneer. I think that he's a great man, a great name in the obstetrics and gynecology in Italy, the best in the last 50 years, I'm sure of that.
In 1961, I performed in Palermo the first diagnostic laparoscopy in Italy. In 1962, I wrote a book on the pill and hormonal control of fertility. And in 1981, we started to think to perform autonomously IVF at Palermo University.
When you started, and that was more than 30 years ago, had you an idea how much would have in vitro fertilization spread? I'm talking about millions of babies born, talking about thousands of biologists working on the field and so on.
I realized that in nearly 500 operations I had performed, I had less than 100 pregnancies. I also thought that I was in debt with people that, notwithstanding surgery, didn't have a pregnancy. So I decided to start with IVF. At that time, all these problems were so complicated, so scientifically difficult, that I thought that for many years, in vitro fertilization would have been confined to very high-level institutions in the world. But surprising, after a few years, the techniques sprang up in every part of the world. And now in Italy, we have more than 300 centers, and in every part of Europe, there are more and more centers year by year.
What will the progress for research give to the couples suffering with infertility?
And in the last years, we are going into fascinating paths that the American scientists call the omics, it is genomics. Proteomics, it is a study of the proteins from the quantitative and qualitative point of view. And finally, metabolomics, because we know that the metabolism is the final product of genomic expression and maybe also epigenomics and other fascinating paths like this. Anna?
Have you any message? Have you something to say, to tell to young people who are starting working on this field as doctors, as scientists, as biologists?
I think that a good scientist in reproductive field must be a good physiologist, a good endocrinologist, a trained surgeon, a specialist in prenatal medicine, and so on. And of course, looking at their personal interest in the research field. Exactly on the top of this little hill, you see, this is Villa Belmonte. There we had the offices, and inside we had the hospital with 100 beds for in vitro fertilization and gynecology. So it was a really Istituto Materno Infantile, Mother and Child Institute. We started here in 88, and it was closed in 2008. When I retired, a few months after.
No?
That's nothing. Now it's finished. It's closed.
When he published his book on contraception, he was called by the Archbishop of Palermo. He had to defend himself. Nowadays, it sounds ridiculous, but then it was not that. And for a professor of the university, having as an enemy, having the hostility of the church was a problem, was a real problem. And the problem is not entirely over. But Ettore has continued on the entire life going straight on. He never abandoned what I think are his ideas, principles, what he believes in.